This morning, well, in a flare-up of violence in Manipur's inter-district boundary areas after several months, 2 people were killed and 10, including 2 police personnel, were injured in gunfire and bombings in Imphal's West Kotruk area. What the police statement essentially says that it was an unprecedented attack and drones were also used, is what the police have said. The Home Department, the government of Manipur, also issued an order to the DGP of the state to conduct combing operations and also sanitize areas, particularly fringe areas as far as the capital is concerned. The DGP has instructed all district SPs to remain on maximum alert. Let me go across to my colleague Ratndeep Chaudhary for more details. So Ratndeep, for a state limping back to normalcy, isolated incidents of violence still being reported.
Right. In fact, last night, at least till in the early morning hours till 2 o'clock, there have been reports of intermittent firing from the area because I was getting reports from my ground sources at least till 2 p.m. So this just goes to show that almost for 12 hours, because this incident started in the last afternoon around 2 in the afternoon. So around for 12 hours, this incident kept on happening, intermittent firing. And what is most important to note that apart from the loss of 2 lives, there are at least 10 people who are injured, which includes the security personnel, which includes a journalist as well who had gone there, a local journalist who was covering this incident. What is most concerning is the fact that what state government has on record said that high-tech military-grade drones have been used to drop bombs. Now, this is something which is new to this conflict that we have been witnessing in Manipur since last 1 year. Now, police sources tell us 7 to 8 such explosions did take place in that area, Kotuk, which is in Imphal West district, but it is basically the fringe area. It's basically bordering area of the valley with the hills. You have on the other side the Kangpokpi district, and this area had been affected by last year's violence as well. So therefore, this is a new challenge for all the security agencies. In fact, a high alert has been issued across the state, and the state's Home Department have written to the DGP of Manipur, Mr. Rajiv Singh, to make sure that there are combing and sanitization operations which are taking place round the clock in the fringe areas, because the fringe areas have been the areas where most of the violence last year took place, and this attack this fresh spell of violence comes at a time when for months there was a lull in violence in Manipur. There was a sense of normalcy slowly returning, but the timing is crucial given the fact that only day before yesterday we did see that the Kuki Zomi groups took out peace rallies in the areas they dominate. They had again reiterated their demand for a separate union territory and squarely attacked and blamed the Chief Minister and Biren Singh. On the other hand, there were also skirmishes in the Kangpokpi Senapati border day before yesterday when the rallies took place between the Kuki protesters and the Naga volunteers who did not wanted the rally to be there in that area. So the ethnic fissure still lies there and are very much prominent, and it's high time for state and center to again step in so that this incident, which is a fresh flare-up, does not boil into another series of incidents of violence in Manipur. And the biggest concern perhaps at this moment is the use of drones, because in past we have seen assemblies arresting people who were trying to take high-tech drones to Manipur, and if this new trend of attack continues, then it will be a reason of concern.
All right. Thanks very much, Ratndeep, for joining us with the latest there. As Ratndeep is pointing out, fresh escalation there in Manipur and also the use of drones, that's extremely concerning. But looking at the political news now, well, both the BJP and the Congress going into huddles after the poll deferral for Haryana. Remember, the BJP is holding back-to-back meetings to seal the Haryana candidate list. In fact, there was a CEC meeting earlier. There was an overnight meeting of the BJP as well, with the High Command, the top leadership working round the clock to finalize the Haryana candidates. The Congress is also in a huddle. Well, the Congress's first meeting on candidate selection will take place today. Haryana is an extremely important state for both the BJP and the Congress. The BJP's performance was not as expected in the Lok Sabha polls, and the Congress is eyeing a comeback after 10-year incumbency for the BJP. And now the other big headline, well, President Draupadi Murmu's important statement on judicial reform. She says, well, that poor continue to, in a sense, await justice for years on end, and there's a great deal of inequality when it comes to our criminal justice system. She says we need judicial reform at the grassroots level as well. She says victims continue to live in fear and the powerful culprits are out constantly. Well, she also said that, well, fast-track justice will only ensure the real sense of democracy. Take a look.
एविडेंस और विटनेसेस से जुड़े मुद्दों पर न्यायपालिका, सरकार और पुलिस प्रशासन को मिलजुल कर समाधान निकालना चाहिए। कुछ मामले में साधन संपन्न लोग अपराध करने के बाद भी निर्भीक और निश्चोत घूमते रहते हैं। जो लोग उनके अपराधों से पीड़ित होते हैं, वे डरे से में रहते हैं, मानो उन्हीं बेचारों ने कई अपराध कर दिया है। महिला पीड़िताओं की स्थिति और भी खराब होती है, क्योंकि प्रायः समाज के लोग भी उनके साथ नहीं देते। जो बलात्कार जैसे जघन्य अपराध के मामले में न्यायालय के निर्णय एक पीढ़ी के गुजर जाने के बाद आते हैं, तो सामान्य व्यक्ति को लगता है कि न्याय प्रक्रिया में संवेदनशीलता कम है। भगवान के घर देर है लेकिन अंधेरा नहीं। लेकिन देर कितने दिन तक, कितना देर हो सकता है? 32 साल, 12 साल, 20 साल, 10 साल? हम लोगों को सोचना चाहिए। तब तक जिसको न्याय मिलेगा 32 साल के बाद शायद उनके चेहरे से मुस्कान ही खत्म हो जाएगा। गांव का गरीब आदमी कोर्ट कचहरी जाने से डरता है। वो बहुत मजबूरी से ही अदालत की न्याय प्रक्रिया में भागीदार बनता है। उसके लिए एक बार गांव से दूर अदालत तक जाना ही बहुत बड़े मानसिक और आर्थिक दबाव का कारण बन जाता है। ऐसी स्थिति में बार बार तारीख देने यानी स्थगन की संस्कृति अर्थात कल्चर ऑफ एडजर्नमेंट से गरीब लोगों को जो कष्ट होता है, उसकी कल्पना भी बहुत से लोग नहीं कर पाते।
Well, this is the outrage over crimes against women continues. Well, in the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital rape and murder horror, the doctors are up in arms again. In fact, the doctors also took the protest to the CBI headquarters. This is the CBI tightens its noose around the RG Kar doctors. In fact, those who were allegedly complicit in this entire case. In fact, several doctors were questioned by the CBI team, which was at the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital for at least 6 to 7 hours. Well, this as there are fresh incidents of cases of assault in hospitals being reported. A 13-year-old child was allegedly molested inside a Howrah hospital. In fact, a minor girl was assaulted during the CT scan is what initial reports reveal. It was a hospital staffer who's allegedly behind this molestation case. Listen in to what the hospital administration and the Bengal minister had to say.
जब ये कंप्लेन हमको मिला है, हम हावड़ा जो पुलिस स्टेशन है इसमें हम रिटन कंप्लेन किया है, जो FIR हुआ है, जो एक्यूज्ड है उसको अरेस्ट भी हुआ है, और जो पार्टनर है प्राइवेट पब्लिक पार्टनर सिटी स्कैन उसके साथ हम एक्सप्लोरेशन मारा है। एक्सप्लोरेशन जब देगा वो हायर अथॉरिटी में भेज देंगे। हायर अथॉरिटी जो डिसीजन लेगा वही होगा। देखिए, हम तो मालूम नहीं है, जो पुलिस इंक्वायरी करेगा उसका जो ही नतीजा निकलेगा वही होगा।
हावड़ा अस्पताल में जो घटना घटा है वो घटना हम CPM BJP वो मछली पकड़ने का कोशिश कर रहा है। तो मैं ये कहूँगा, जो सरकार के तरफ से, प्रशासन की तरफ से, हॉस्पिटल अथॉरिटी की तरफ से जो व्यवस्था लेना है वो सब ले लिया। पुलिस उसको अरेस्ट किया, जिसका माने ऊपर जो आरोप है उसको अरेस्ट किया पुलिस, और उसको कोर्ट में फॉरवर्ड भी किया। जो लड़का ये किया उसका वो किसी को नहीं बताया। जो मशीन चालू हो गया, मशीन बंद था, मशीन चालू हो गया, वो किसी को बताया नहीं, इसीलिए ऐसा हुआ।
And now a big focus on NDTV, the Mollywood Me Too movement, and the latest on the investigation. Well, a fresh case has now been registered against left MLA and actor Mukesh. This is the second case against him. Of course, there's a rape case which has already been registered against Mukesh, and now a fresh case in Kerala's Thrissur. Now remember, this incident reportedly happened back in 2011. This, as a demand for his resignation picks up pace. The left government is still silent on it. In fact, the CPM had backed actor and left MLA Mukesh, saying that others with similar allegations have not stepped down. And now our special report. Well, the Himalayan state of Sikkim, which has been withstanding the perils of climate change, has started the first of its a fortnight-long study to evaluate the volume, depth and longitudinal profile of the 6 high-risk glacial lakes in the state, being conducted at the behest of the National Disaster Management Authority. The Glacial Lake Susceptibility Assessment Study will help characterize the physical dimensions of the lakes. My colleague Ratndeep Chaudhary reports.
A step towards the right direction, a first-of-its-kind expedition to assess the susceptibility of glacial lakes to outburst floods in the high Himalayas.
We are doing all the PRA, preparation of this hazard mapping and all, so that people are made aware of how to save themselves as well as their communities.
We are mainly doing a variety of studies, things like slope forming material study, geophysical survey.
The 15-day expedition that would end on September 14 will focus on 6 high-risk glacial lakes of Sikkim. A glacial lake outburst flood in Sikkim in October last year led to the collapse of the Tista 3 hydroelectric dam, killed more than 100 people and affected thousands of others. Last year's massive flood in Sikkim and the kind of death toll had perhaps shaken the authorities from their long slumber. The National Disaster Management Authority, or the NDMA, has identified 189 high-risk glacial lakes in the Indian Himalayas and launched a 150 crore rupees program for risk mitigation, including monitoring and early warning systems. Work is in progress in Arunachal Pradesh, near the line of actual control with China. Sikkim also has some critical glacial lakes near the China border. Initially, the Sikkim government had planned to survey the Guru Dongmar lakes, which have a combined estimated volume of 178 million cubic meters. However, these plans have been postponed due to the local opposition, as the lakes are considered sacred.
So Guru Dogma, there are 3 lakes actually. When you go for darshan, you see only 1 lake. There are 2 lakes above that. So that lake has been kept on hold right now because we got input from Lachen Zumsa that these are amongst the most sacred lakes of Sikkim.
It's multi-departmental, multi-institutional effort that is taking place. A lot of time was spent on training and planning for this. The expedition's finding will contribute to a comprehensive understanding of glacial lake outburst floods risks and inform future mitigation effort. In Guwahati, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
So, well, the impact of climate change, it's here and now. With that, we'll take a short break now, but news continues on the other side.